The information provided in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. Automotive financing involves complex contracts and long-term financial commitments that vary significantly based on individual credit history, state laws, and lender policies. You should conduct your own due diligence and consult with a qualified financial advisor or legal professional before signing any binding agreements. The examples provided are based on historical trends and case studies, not individual guarantees of performance or approval. You are sitting in a dealership office, the smell of new leather and cleaning chemicals filling the air, and the salesperson slides a single sheet of paper across the desk. In bold highlighter yellow ink it says, $0 down. Your heart rate picks up because you were prepared to drop $5,000 today, but suddenly that money stays in your pocket. You sign the papers, grab the keys, and drive off the lot feeling like you just beat the system. But exactly 48 months from now, when you try to trade that car in, you discover that you owe $24,000 on a vehicle that is only worth $15,000. You aren't just underwater. You are drowning in negative equity, and the zero-down deal that felt like a gift was actually a high-interest anchor tied to your financial future. In the United States, the zero-down payment car deal is one of the most misunderstood and potentially devastating financial products available to the average consumer. Most people see it as a way to save cash up front. But the reality is that the American automotive lending industry has engineered these deals to maximize lender profit while shifting every ounce of risk onto the driver. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the multi-billion-dollar zero-down machine to show you exactly how these contracts are structured, why dealerships love them, and the mathematical reality of what happens to your net worth the second you turn that key. This is a deep dive masterclass designed for the American car buyer who is tired of being outmaneuvered by polished sales tactics and opaque financing terms. The problem we are solving today is the information gap. In a typical car negotiation, the dealership has access to proprietary software, dozens of lending partners, and decades of psychological sales training. You, the consumer, usually only have a monthly budget and a hope that you're getting a fair shake. By the end of this series, that power dynamic will be completely reversed. We are going to break down the actual cost of capital, the impact of the loan-to-value ratio, and why a zero-down deal on a domestic SUV is a completely different financial animal than a zero-down deal on a high-resale Japanese sedan. We are going to look at case studies from the 2023 and 2024 credit markets to show you how rising interest rates have turned what used to be a convenient option into a high-risk financial gamble. To understand the zero-down phenomenon, you first have to understand the history of the American auto loan. Historically, a 20% down payment was the industry standard. This was the skin in the game that protected the bank. If you stopped paying, the bank could repossess the car, sell it at auction, and because you had already paid 20%, they were almost certain to recoup their remaining investment. However, as car prices in the US have skyrocketed, with the average new car price now hovering around $48,000, the average American worker simply does not have $10,000 in liquid cash sitting in a savings account. To keep the assembly lines moving and the dealership lots turning over, the industry had to innovate. The zero-down deal wasn't created to help you. It was created to solve the problem of declining consumer liquidity. It is a tool designed to bypass your lack of savings by leveraging your future income. When a dealer offers you a zero-down deal, they are effectively asking a lender to take a 100% risk on the asset. In many cases, they are asking for more than 100%. Consider this. When you buy a car, you aren't just paying for the vehicle. You are paying for sales tax, registration fees, documentation fees, and often back-end products like gap insurance or extended warranties. In a zero-down scenario, all of those soft costs are rolled into the loan. If the car costs $30,000 and the taxes and fees are an additional $3,000, you are walking out with a $33,000 loan on an asset that is technically worth about $27,000 the moment it registers as used in the DMV system. This is what the industry calls being flipped or upside down from day one. We see this play out in historical trends across the United States, particularly in the subprime and near-prime markets. Lenders who agree to these terms aren't doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. They compensate for the massive risk of a zero-down loan by adjusting the participation or the interest rate. If you have a 740 credit score, you might qualify for a competitive rate even with nothing down. But for the vast majority of consumers, that zero-down sign is a siren song that leads to an APR that is 2, 3, or even 5 percentage points higher than what they would have received with a meaningful down payment. Over a 72-month loan term, that interest rate hike can result in you paying for the car 1.5 times over. Take the case study of a typical mid-sized sedan purchase in a high-tax state like California or New York. The sticker price is $35,000. With a 10% down payment, the consumer buffers the immediate depreciation. With zero down and the inclusion of a 5-year extended warranty and gap coverage, which is almost mandatory on zero down deals because the risk of total loss is so high, the total financed amount could hit $40,000. If that buyer is hit with an 8% interest rate because of the high loan-to-value ratio, they will pay over $8,000 in interest alone. By the time they reach the 3-year mark of their 5-year loan, they may still owe $25,000 on a car that the market only values at $18,000. If their financial situation changes, if they lose their job or need to move, they cannot sell the car because they don't have the $7,000 difference to clear the title. They are effectively trapped in the vehicle. This video is going to give you the mathematical armor you need to decide if this path is right for you. We will explore the rule of 20/4/10, a historical benchmark for automotive sanity, and compare it against the modern zero-down reality. We will discuss why monthly payment buyers are the favorite prey of dealership finance managers, and how to transition yourself into being an out-the-door price buyer. We are going to analyze the specific types of vehicles where zero down is a catastrophic mistake, specifically those with high initial depreciation curves like luxury European imports and certain domestic trucks, versus vehicles that hold their value so well that a zero-down deal might actually be a calculated, low-risk move for someone with high cash flow. We are also going to dive into the credit tier myth. Many people believe that zero down is only for people with bad credit who can't afford a down payment. In reality, the most aggressive zero-down marketing is often aimed at Tier 1 credit holders, tempting them to use the bank's money instead of their own. We will weigh the opportunity cost. Is it better to put $5,000 down on a car, or keep that $5,000 in a high-yield savings account or an index fund while taking a slightly higher interest rate on the car? The math is often surprising, and it's rarely what the salesperson tells you. The goal here is total transparency. By the time we finish this deep dive, you will understand the buy rate versus the contract rate, the impact of acquisition fees, and how to spot a yo-yo financing scam before it ruins your credit. The zero-down deal is a tool like a scalpel. In the hands of a trained professional who understands their cash flow and the market, it can be a way to maintain liquidity. In the hands of an uninformed consumer, it is a financial trap that can stall your wealth building for a decade. We are going to make sure you are the one holding the handle, not the blade. Let's get into the mechanics of the zero-down contract. To understand the mechanics of the zero-down contract, we have to look at the skeletal structure of the deal, starting with the metric that lenders obsess over but consumers rarely hear about: the loan-to-value ratio, or LTV. In a standard automotive transaction with a 20% down payment, your LTV starts at 80%. This means you owe $80 for every $100 the car is worth. The bank feels safe because there is a $20 cushion. But in a zero-down deal in 2026, the LTV often starts at 110% or even 120%. Imagine a young professional named Marcus in Charlotte, North Carolina. Marcus finds a sleek, late-model electric crossover priced at $42,000. He has a decent credit score and a steady job, but his savings are tied up in a high-yield account he doesn't want to touch. The dealer offers him zero down. Marcus sees $42,000 on the window sticker and assumes that is his loan. But then the back-end math begins. First, there is the sales tax, which in Marcus's case adds roughly $3,000. Then come the documentation fees, title and registration, and a dealer prep fee adding another $1,000. Already, before a single mile is driven, the loan is at $46,000 for a $42,000 car. This is where the zero-down trap sets its first jaw. Because Marcus is putting nothing down, the lender views this as a high-risk profile. To mitigate that risk, they require Marcus to purchase gap insurance, which stands for Guaranteed Asset Protection. While we use the term historical trends to describe its necessity, in a zero-down scenario, it is almost a mathematical requirement. If Marcus totals that car 3 months later, the insurance company will only pay the fair market value, which might be $38,000 by then. Without gap insurance, Marcus would be legally responsible for the $8,000 difference out of his own pocket. By rolling the gap insurance premium, usually around $800 to $1,200, into the loan, Marcus's total financed amount hits $47,000. He is now nearly 14% underwater before he even adjusts the mirrors. This leads us to the concept of the front end versus the back end of a car deal. The front end is the price of the car itself. The back end is where the real profit is made, especially in zero-down deals. When you walk in and say the words zero down, you are signaling to the finance and insurance manager, or the F&I manager, that you are a monthly payment buyer. Historical trends show that F&I managers are trained to pivot away from the total price of the car and focus entirely on the monthly installment. They will present a menu of products: extended service contracts, tire and wheel protection, ceramic coating, and theft recovery systems. In a traditional deal, a buyer might pass on these because they don't want to write a larger check. But in a zero-down deal, the manager simply says it only adds $15 a month to your payment. To Marcus, $15 sounds like the price of a fast food meal. In reality, over a 72-month or 84-month loan, that $15 becomes over $1,000 plus interest. Let's look at the interest rate escalation. In the 2026 credit market, interest rates have stabilized but remain significantly higher than the historic lows of the previous decade. When a lender sees a zero-down application, they often apply a risk premium to the APR. Case studies of mid-range credit profiles show that a buyer putting $5,000 down might qualify for a 5.9% APR. That same buyer requesting zero down on the exact same vehicle might be offered 7.9% or 8.9%. The lender justifies this because they have zero equity in the collateral. If the economy takes a downturn and Marcus defaults, the bank is guaranteed to lose money at a repossession auction. To compensate for that potential outcome, they front-load the interest. Imagine the long-term trajectory of Marcus's loan. Because he started at 110% LTV and is paying a higher interest rate, the portion of his monthly payment going toward the principal balance is much smaller in the first 3 years than it would be in a conventional loan. This creates a phenomenon known as the extended equity hole. In a typical 5-year loan with a down payment, a buyer usually breaks even, meaning the car is worth what they owe, at around month 24. In Marcus's zero-down, 72-month loan, he might not reach the break-even point until month 55 or 60. He is effectively a renter of that vehicle for nearly 5 years, with no actual ownership stake or trade-in value. This brings us to the psychological trap of the zero-down deal. It creates a false sense of affordability. By 2026, the average car payment in the United States has crossed the $750 mark. Dealerships use zero down to push consumers into vehicles they technically cannot afford based on their liquid assets. If you do not have $5,000 to put down on a $40,000 car, historical trends suggest you may not have the monthly cash flow to handle the insurance, maintenance, and registration renewals on that same $40,000 car. The zero-down deal bypasses the natural financial guardrail of the down payment, which acts as a stress test for your budget. We also have to discuss the impact on your future credit flexibility. Because Marcus is so far underwater on his electric crossover, he is effectively locked into that car for the duration of the loan. If he has a child and needs a larger vehicle in 3 years, he will find that he owes $28,000 on a car that a dealer will only give him $18,000 for in trade. The dealership will then offer to roll that $10,000 of negative equity into his next loan. This is the beginning of the debt spiral. Case studies from the early 2020s showed consumers walking into new car deals with $15,000 of rolled-over debt from previous zero-down vehicles, leading to LTV ratios of 150%. This is how a $30,000 car turns into a $60,000 debt obligation. Furthermore, the zero-down contract often contains specific stipulations regarding the type of insurance coverage you must maintain. Because the lender is at maximum risk, they may require lower deductibles than you would normally choose, increasing your monthly overhead even further. They may also restrict your ability to take the car out of the country or make certain modifications. You are under a microscope because, on paper, the bank owns 100% of the risk and you own 0% of the asset. But why do dealerships push these so hard if they are so risky for the consumer? It comes down to the volume of the sale and the reserve. When a dealer sets up a loan for Marcus, the lender pays the dealer a commission called the dealer reserve. This is often a percentage of the amount financed. By rolling taxes, fees, and back-end products into a zero-down loan, the dealer increases the total amount financed, which in turn increases their commission from the bank. They are incentivized to keep your down payment at zero because it maximizes the loan size. So, if the deck is so heavily stacked against the buyer, are there ever situations where zero down actually makes sense in the current 2026 economy? Are there specific tax advantages or arbitrage opportunities for high-income earners that the average buyer is missing? And more importantly, if you are already in a zero-down deal and you realize you are underwater, how do you perform a financial extraction without ruining your credit score? We are going to look at the specific math of the high cash flow arbitrage and the step-by-step escape plan for the underwater borrower in the next section. But first, we have to talk about the most dangerous phrase in any dealership: the subprime zero-down special. What happens when the zero-down deal is offered to someone with a credit score below 620? The answer involves a tracking device and a kill switch. In the world of 2026 subprime lending, the zero-down payment offer isn't just a marketing hook. It is a calculated entry point into a high-tech surveillance ecosystem. When a borrower with a credit score below 620 walks onto a buy here pay here lot, or a high-volume subprime franchise, the zero-down offer is often contingent on the installation of a GPS starter interrupt device. Imagine a single mother in Phoenix named Sarah. Sarah's car recently broke down, and she needs a replacement immediately to keep her job at a local logistics center. She doesn't have $2,000 for a down payment, so she gravitates toward a dealership advertising everyone is approved and $0 out the door. Sarah signs the paperwork for a 2021 domestic sedan. What the salesperson might gloss over in the fine print is that the car is now equipped with a digital kill switch. If Sarah is even 48 hours late on a payment, the lender can remotely disable the starter from a laptop hundreds of miles away. Historical trends in the subprime sector show that these devices are increasingly common, as lenders try to mitigate the massive default risks associated with zero equity loans. Because Sarah put zero money down, she has no skin in the game, which means she is statistically more likely to walk away from the loan if things get tough. The kill switch is the lender's insurance. If she doesn't pay, they disable the car at 2 a.m., send a tow truck with the GPS coordinates already locked in, and repossess the asset before she even wakes up for her shift. This isn't just a story. It is a standard operating procedure in the modern American credit landscape for those in the lowest credit tiers. Beyond the hardware, we have to look at the devastating math of the subprime zero-down APR. While Marcus in our previous example was looking at 8 or 9%, Sarah is likely facing an APR between 18 and 26%. In some states, depending on local usury laws and how the fees are structured, the effective cost of borrowing can climb even higher. Let's run the numbers on Sarah's sedan. The car is priced at $15,000. With zero down plus taxes, title, and a high-risk lender fee, often called a discount fee that the dealer passes on to the consumer, the total loan amount hits $18,000. At a 24% interest rate over 60 months, Sarah isn't just paying back $18,000. She is paying back over $30,000. In this scenario, Sarah is paying $15,000 in interest for the privilege of not having a $2,000 down payment today. This is the ultimate poverty trap. The less money you have up front, the more the American financial system charges you for the lack of it. Case studies from 2025 and early 2026 indicate that many of these subprime zero-down deals are designed to fail. The business model for some of the more predatory lots isn't actually the successful completion of the loan, it is the churn. They sell a car for zero down, collect high interest for 6 months, repossess the car the moment a payment is missed, and then detail the car and sell it again for zero down to the next person in Sarah's situation. Because the car depreciates while the interest piles up, the borrower is never even close to owning the vehicle. They are essentially paying a premium subscription fee for a depreciating asset they will never title in their own name. Now let's contrast this with the other end of the spectrum, the high earner arbitrage. It is a common misconception that only people who are broke use zero-down deals. In 2026, we see a growing trend of high-net-worth individuals using zero-down as a strategic move. Imagine a software architect in Seattle named David. David earns $250,000 a year and has $50,000 sitting in a brokerage account. He wants a $75,000 luxury SUV. The dealer offers him a promotional zero-down lease or a low-interest financing deal at 4%. David does the math. He could put $15,000 down to lower his payment, or he could keep that $15,000 in his investment portfolio, which has a historical trend of returning 8 to 10% annually. For David, zero down isn't a trap. It is a leverage play. By keeping his $15,000 invested, he is effectively earning a 4 to 6% spread on the bank's money. However, this only works because David has the liquidity to pay off the car at any moment. If the market crashes or he loses his job, he has the assets to cover the debt. The tragedy of the American car market is that the person who needs the zero down deal the least, David, gets the best terms, while the person who needs it the most, Sarah, is charged the most. But even for someone like David, there is a hidden risk called the total loss gap. If David drives his brand new SUV off the lot with zero down and is hit by a distracted driver 5 minutes later, the insurance company will write a check for the actual cash value of the car. Because new cars can lose 10 to 15% of their value the moment they are registered, that check might be for $65,000. David still owes $75,000 to the bank. Even with high income, David is now on the hook for a $10,000 bill for a car he no longer owns. This is why gap insurance is the silent partner in every zero down deal. Without it, you are essentially self-insuring the immediate depreciation of the vehicle. We also need to address the impact of zero down deals on the broader used car market. When millions of Americans take zero down deals with 72 or 84-month terms, they remain underwater on their loans for 5 to 6 years. This means they cannot trade their cars in. This slows down the supply of used cars hitting the market, which keeps used car prices artificially high. In 2026, we are seeing a stagnation effect, where people are trapped in cars they no longer want or can afford, simply because the payoff quote on their zero down loan is $5,000 higher than the car's trade-in value. This is the negative equity ceiling that is currently hovering over the American middle class. So how do you navigate this if you are currently standing on a dealership lot? You have to understand the difference between being able to afford the payment and being able to afford the car. If the only way you can fit a car into your life is by putting $0 down and stretching the loan to 84 months, the historical data suggests you are not buying a car. You are buying a financial crisis that hasn't happened yet. But what if you have no choice? What if, like Sarah, you need a car to survive? There are specific, less advertised pathways to avoid the kill switch and the 24% interest rates, even with low cash reserves. There are credit union workarounds and first-time buyer programs that offer a middle ground between the traditional 20% down and the predatory zero down trap. We are going to break down the exact checklist you should use to vet a zero down offer to see if it is a legitimate promotional deal or a subprime snare. But before we get to that checklist, we have to talk about the lease versus purchase debate in the zero down world. Is a zero down lease actually safer than a zero down purchase? The answer lies in the residual value and a very specific clause found in paragraph 12 of most modern lease agreements. If you don't know what that clause says, you might be giving away thousands of dollars in equity that you didn't even know you had. The specific clause found in paragraph 12 of most modern lease agreements typically revolves around the disposition fee and the purchase option price. In a zero-down lease, many consumers assume they are simply renting the vehicle for 3 years and then handing it back. But this mindset ignores the potential outcomes of the residual value calculation. Imagine a high school teacher in Columbus, Ohio, named Elena. In early 2026, Elena signs a zero-down lease for a popular mid-sized hybrid SUV. The monthly payment is exactly what she budgeted, and she is thrilled that she didn't have to drain her emergency fund to get into a new, reliable vehicle. However, because she put $0 down, she is paying interest, often called the money factor in leasing, on the entire capitalized cost of the car. The hidden trap in Elena's lease isn't just the higher monthly payment. It is the fact that her lease contract sets a fixed residual value, the amount the car is expected to be worth at the end of 36 months. Historical trends in the 2026 market show that due to supply chain stabilization and fluctuating demand for certain powertrains, the actual market value of a car at the end of a lease can vary wildly from the bank's initial estimate. If Elena's hybrid SUV ends up being worth $5,000 more than the residual value stated in her contract, she has $5,000 in positive equity. If she simply turns the car in at the end of the lease, she walks away with zero. The dealership, however, will turn around, sell that car for a profit, and pocket the equity that Elena unknowingly surrendered. By understanding paragraph 12, Elena would know she has the right to buy the car for the residual price or trade it in to a third party to capture that equity. In a zero-down scenario, capturing this equity is the only way to recover the higher interest costs you paid over the term of the lease. Now let's contrast a zero-down lease with a zero-down purchase using a case study of a different character, a freelance graphic designer named Jordan in Austin, Texas. Jordan chooses to purchase a $28,000 compact car with zero down. Because Jordan is financing the full amount plus tax and fees, he starts with a loan balance of roughly $31,000. By month 18, the car's market value has dropped to $22,000, but Jordan's loan balance is still at $27,000. He is $5,000 underwater. If Jordan's business takes a hit and he needs to lower his monthly expenses, he is stuck. He cannot sell the car for what he owes. In a lease, however, the bank carries the risk of depreciation. If the car's value crashes to $15,000 by the end of the term, Elena can simply hand back the keys and walk away, whereas Jordan would still be fighting his way out of a massive equity hole. This brings us to the critical concept of the money factor versus the annual percentage rate. In a zero-down purchase, the interest is transparently labeled as an APR. In a zero-down lease, the interest is often hidden in a decimal point called the money factor. To find the equivalent interest rate, you must multiply that money factor by 2,400. In 2026, many dealerships are offering zero-down leases with money factors that, when converted, equal an interest rate of 9 or 10%. Because the consumer only sees a monthly payment of $499, they don't realize they are paying a premium for the convenience of not providing a down payment. This is why a zero-down lease is often referred to as a loaded financial product. It is packed with hidden costs that are amortized over the life of the term to make them feel invisible. To truly master the zero-down masterclass, we must look at the impact of the 2026 Federal Reserve policies on these deals. When interest rates are high, the cost of carrying a 100% loan is significantly more expensive than when rates are low. For every $1,000 you don't put down, you are adding roughly $20 to your monthly payment at current average rates. If you choose a zero-down deal over a $5,000 down payment, you are essentially choosing to pay an extra $100 every single month for the next 6 years. Over the life of a 72-month loan, that decision costs you $7,200. You didn't just keep your $5,000. You spent an additional $2,200 in interest just to hold on to that cash today. This is the liquidity tax that the American automotive industry relies on for record-breaking profits in the mid-2020s. Let's dive deeper into the step-by-step math of the out-of-pocket cost. Many people think zero down means $0. This is almost never true in the USA. Even in a zero-down deal, you are often expected to pay the first month's payment, the registration fees, and the documentation fees up front. If a dealer tells you it is sign and drive, they are simply rolling those initial costs into the loan balance. Imagine a scenario where a buyer named Chloe in Chicago wants a $40,000 electric sedan. The dealer says zero down, sign and drive. Chloe thinks she is paying nothing today, but the $3,000 in taxes and fees are added to the $40,000 principal. Now she is paying 8% interest on that $3,000 tax bill. Chloe is literally paying interest on her taxes. This is one of the most inefficient ways to use capital in the entire American financial system. Historical trends show that the most successful car buyers are those who separate the down payment from the drive-off fees. Even if you want a zero-down loan on the vehicle's price, you should ideally pay the taxes and fees in cash. This prevents you from paying interest on non-asset costs. If Chloe had paid the $3,000 in fees up front, her loan would have stayed at $40,000. By rolling them in, she effectively added $600 in interest costs over the life of the loan for no reason other than the temporary psychological comfort of not seeing her bank account balance drop today. Furthermore, we must address the Tier 1 trap. In 2026, many manufacturers are offering 0% APR, or very low interest financing to attract high credit buyers. On the surface, zero down at 0% interest seems like a mathematical no-brainer. If the money is free, why would you ever give the bank a down payment? While this logic holds up in a vacuum, it fails to account for the asset-to-debt mismatch. Even at 0% interest, your car is still depreciating. If you put zero down on a 0% loan, you are still underwater for the first 3 years of the loan. If you decide you hate the car, or if your life circumstances change, say you get a new job across the country and don't want to transport the vehicle, you still have to come up with thousands of dollars to pay off the negative equity before you can sell it. 0% interest does not protect you from a negative equity trap. It only makes the trap slightly less expensive to maintain. Case studies of consumers who took 0%, zero down deals in 2024 and 2025 are now coming to light. Many of these individuals are finding that despite their perfect interest rate, they are house poor in their cars. Their monthly cash flow is constricted by a high payment on a car that they cannot trade in because the used car market has corrected downward. This is the golden handcuff of the automotive world. You have a great interest rate on a loan you can't get out of. So, how do you verify if the zero-down deal you are being offered is a fair market play or a predatory maneuver? You have to ask for the total cost of ownership worksheet. not just the Foursquare worksheet. If a dealer refuses to show you the total interest paid over the life of the loan versus a deal with a 10% down payment, they are hiding the liquidity tax. We are going to look at the specific questions you need to ask the F&I manager to expose these hidden margins. But first, we have to talk about the trade-in illusion. What happens when a dealer tells you that your old car counts as your zero down payment? This is where the most common form of equity theft occurs in the American dealership system. If you aren't careful, the dealer will use your trade-in to pad their own pockets while still charging you the high interest of a zero down loan. We are going to expose the trade-in shell game and show you why zero down and a trade-in should never be mentioned in the same sentence. The trade-in shell game is perhaps the most sophisticated maneuver in the American dealership finance office because it relies on the consumer's emotional relief of getting rid of an old vehicle. When a salesperson says you can have a zero down deal because your trade-in covers the initial costs, they are often performing a mathematical sleight of hand. Imagine a nurse in Denver named Liam. Liam has a 2018 compact SUV that is paid off and worth approximately $8,000 in the current 2026 used car market. He wants to buy a new $45,000 electric truck. The dealer tells Liam that since he has $8,000 in equity, he qualifies for a zero down deal. To Liam, this sounds like a win. He thinks he is keeping his $8,000 of value and getting the truck for zero out of pocket. In reality, that $8,000 is his down payment. By labeling the deal as zero down, the dealer often maintains the higher interest rate associated with a high-risk, zero equity loan while simultaneously stripping Liam of the actual cash value of his trade-in. If Liam had negotiated the price of the truck first, secured his own financing at a credit union with a lower APR, and then applied the $8,000 as a clear down payment, his monthly obligation and total interest paid would look drastically different. In the shell game, the dealer might show Liam a higher than average trade-in value for his old SUV, say $9,000, but then silently inflate the interest rate on the new truck by 2% or add hidden back-end products that Liam didn't ask for. Because Liam is focused on the zero down headline, he doesn't notice that his $8,000 of hard-earned equity is being eroded by a predatory loan structure. Historical trends in 2026 show that the gap between trade-in value and retail value is wider than ever. When you combine a trade-in with a zero down promotion, you are giving the dealership two separate profit centers to manipulate. They can under-allow on your trade-in value, or they can overcharge on the financing of the new asset. This is why professional automotive consultants in the United States often recommend a strategy of separation. You must negotiate the purchase price of the new car, the interest rate of the loan, and the value of your trade-in as three completely independent transactions. If a dealer insists on bundling them into a single zero down monthly payment, they are likely hiding a margin that benefits the house, not the consumer. Consider the case study of a retail manager in Atlanta named Mia. Mia has a trade-in worth $5,000 and is looking at a $30,000 sedan. The dealer offers her a zero down deal, but they calculate the loan based on the full $30,000, effectively ignoring the $5,000 trade-in value in the interest calculation and instead using it to pay off the front-end fees and the dealer's own commission. If Mia had insisted on a traditional finance structure, that $5,000 would have reduced her principal to $25,000 immediately. By taking the zero down bait, Mia ends up paying interest on $5,000 that she already owned in the form of her old car. Over a 72-month loan at 7%, that mistake costs Mia an additional $1,100 in interest alone, on top of the $5,000 in equity she essentially handed over for free. This leads us to the specific mathematical formula used by lenders to determine the risk of a zero down loan, the debt-to-income or DTI ratio. In 2026, lenders have become increasingly stringent. Even if you have a high credit score, a zero down deal might be rejected if your DTI is above 43%. This is where the secondary trap of the zero down deal appears. To make the DTI work, dealerships will often stretch the loan term from 60 months to 84, or even 96 months. While this lowers the monthly payment to a level that the lender's computer will accept, it exponentially increases the total cost of the vehicle. Imagine if Mia took an 84-month loan on her sedan just to keep her payment at $400. By the time she reaches year 4, she still owes more than $20,000. If the sedan is only worth $12,000 at that point, Mia is effectively stuck. She cannot trade the car, she cannot sell it, and if she gets into an accident, her insurance check won't even come close to covering the bank's demand. Case studies from the 2026 market indicate that 84-month loans are becoming the new standard for zero-down deals, creating a generation of American drivers who are perpetually in debt to a vehicle that has long passed its peak reliability. We also need to discuss the impact of the 2026 inflationary correction. As the cost of living in the U.S. continues to fluctuate, many consumers are turning to zero-down deals as a survival mechanism. They need the cash they would have used for a down payment to cover rising insurance premiums and fuel costs. However, this is a short-term solution with a long-term penalty. Historical trends suggest that the extra interest paid on a zero-down loan is often higher than the inflation rate itself. This means that by choosing zero-down to save cash now, you are actually losing purchasing power in the long run. Furthermore, there is the issue of the hidden dealer markup, often disguised as a market adjustment or a protection package. In a zero-down deal, these markups are particularly dangerous because they are financed at the highest possible rate. If a dealer adds a $2,000 market adjustment to a zero-down loan, and you are paying 9% interest over 6 years, that adjustment actually costs you nearly $3,000. Because you didn't put any money down to offset this, your LTV ratio is now so high that no other lender will touch your loan, effectively capturing you at that specific dealership's preferred lender. To protect yourself, you must understand the concept of the buy rate. When a bank approves your zero-down loan at 8%, they may actually be telling the dealer that your risk profile justifies a 6% rate. The dealer is then allowed to mark up that rate by 2% as a profit for arranging the deal. This is legal in most of the United States. In a zero-down deal, the dealer has more leverage to do this because the loan is more complex. You must ask the F&I manager directly, is this the buy rate? Or is there a dealer markup included in this APR? If they refuse to answer, you are likely paying a convenience fee for the zero-down structure that you could have avoided by walking across the street to a credit union. But what if the dealer says the zero-down offer is only available through their specific captive lender, like Ford Credit or Toyota Financial Services? These are often legitimate promotional offers, but they usually come with a catch. You might have to choose between the zero-down/low APR offer and a cashback rebate. If the rebate is $4,000 and the zero-down financing saves you $3,000 in interest, taking the zero-down financing is actually a $1,000 mistake. Most American consumers are so focused on the out-of-pocket cost today that they ignore the $4,000 check they are leaving on the table. We are now moving into the phase of the masterclass where we look at the extraction strategy. If you are currently sitting in a zero-down loan and you realize you have been caught in the equity trap, what are the step-by-step moves to get out without ruining your credit? There is a very specific sequence of events involving voluntary surrender versus refinancing that can save your financial life. And more importantly, we are going to look at the 2026 lease-to-purchase conversion. Is it possible to turn a zero-down lease into a wealth-building asset? The secret lies in the 2026 used car auction data, which reveals a massive pricing anomaly for certain vehicle classes. If you own one of these cars on a zero-down deal, you might actually be sitting on a gold mine. We will break down those specific models and the auction data in the next part. To understand how certain vehicle classes act as a financial gold mine, even within the confines of a zero-down deal, we have to look at the 2026 Manheim and Black Book auction data. In the current American economy, we are witnessing a phenomenon called the residual value divergence. While most vehicles follow the standard depreciation curve, losing roughly 15 to 20% of their value the moment they leave the lot, a specific subset of vehicles in 2026 is holding on to nearly 95% of their original MSRP even after 18 months of use. This creates a rare mathematical scenario where a zero-down buyer can actually find themselves in a positive equity position much faster than historical trends would suggest. Imagine a structural engineer in Seattle named James. In early 2025, James took a zero-down deal on a high-demand mid-sized hybrid pickup truck. Because James had a top-tier credit score, he secured a competitive promotional rate. At the time, the truck was priced at $48,000. James rolled his taxes and fees into the loan, starting with a balance of $52,000. Under normal circumstances, James would be underwater for at least 3 to 4 years. However, by mid-2026, a combination of manufacturer production shifts and a sudden spike in fuel prices across the West Coast has sent the demand for used hybrids into the stratosphere. According to the latest 2026 auction reports, James's specific model is currently fetching $49,000 at wholesale auctions. Because James has been making aggressive payments, his loan balance has dropped to $46,000. Despite putting $0 down, James is now sitting on $3,000 of accidental equity. This is the gold mine. But the trap here is that the dealership knows this data before James does. If James walks into a dealership today, they might offer him $44,000 for his trade-in, hoping he doesn't realize that the wholesale market is actually $3,000 to $5,000 higher. In this scenario, the zero-down deal didn't hurt James, but the information asymmetry might. Another case study involves the high-durability diesel market in the American Midwest. Consider a small business owner in Omaha named Wyatt. Wyatt purchased a heavy-duty diesel work truck in 2024 with zero down. While the initial loan-to-value ratio was a staggering 112%, the 2026 market for pre-owned diesels with specific towing capacities has remained incredibly resilient. Because new truck prices have continued to climb, the used market has become the primary battleground for contractors. Wyatt's truck, which he bought for $65,000, is still worth $58,000 after 2 years of hard work. Because Wyatt chose a shorter 60-month term, even with zero down, his principal has dropped below the truck's value. The secret to identifying these goldmine vehicles lies in the 2026 Resale Value Awards and the specific days to turn metrics. Vehicles that spend less than 20 days on a dealer's lot as used inventory are the ones that protect zero-down buyers from the equity trap. These typically include specialized off-road SUVs, high-efficiency hybrids, and iconic domestic sports cars with limited production runs. If you are going to do a zero-down deal, historical trends suggest that doing it on a vehicle with a projected 5-year residual value of over 60% is the only way to mitigate the risk of being stuck in the vehicle. However, for most Americans, the reality is far less fortunate. If you find yourself in a zero-down loan on a high-depreciation vehicle, like a luxury European sedan or a mass-market compact car, you need an extraction strategy. The first step in the 2026 Extraction Masterclass is the strategic refinance. Most people who take a zero-down deal at a dealership are paying a dealer-marked-up interest rate. The goal is to move that debt to a credit union or a specialized automotive lender as soon as possible. Step 1 of the extraction is obtaining your actual cash value or ACV. You cannot rely on KBB or generic online estimators. You must take your car to at least 3 different high-volume buyers, think national used car retailers or local competitors, and get a written purchase offer. This is your baseline. Step 2 is calling your current lender for the 10-day payoff amount. The gap between these two numbers is your equity hole. If the hole is small, say under $2,000, the move is to pay that difference in cash and refinance the remaining balance into a lower interest loan. Case studies show that moving from an 8% dealer loan to a 5% credit union loan can save the average American over $3,000 in interest over the remaining life of the loan. This is essentially buying back your equity. But what if the hole is $10,000? This is where many consumers consider the dangerous path of voluntary surrender. In the 2026 credit environment, a voluntary surrender is effectively a financial suicide note. When you hand the keys back to the bank, they don't just forgive the debt. They take the car to a wholesale auction, where it will sell for the lowest possible price, and then they sue you for the deficiency balance. If you owe $30,000 and the car sells for $18,000, you now have a $12,000 legal judgment against you, no car, and a credit score that has plummeted by 200 points. Instead of surrender, the 2026 extraction strategy focuses on the private party equity capture. Even in a down market, there is a significant gap between what a dealer will give you, wholesale, and what a private individual will pay, retail. By selling the car yourself, you can often narrow the equity hole by $3,000 to $4,000. You then take a small personal loan from a credit union to cover the remaining gap to clear the title. It is a painful check to write, but it is a one-time cost that stops the bleeding and preserves your ability to borrow at low rates in the future. We also have to discuss the lease-to-purchase conversion in 2026. Many people who took zero-down leases 3 years ago are reaching the end of their terms. In many cases, the residual value set in 2023 or 2024 is much lower than the actual market value today. If your lease contract says you can buy the car for $20,000, but the car is selling on lots for $26,000, you have $6,000 in hidden equity. Even if you put $0 down on that lease, you have won. You should almost always exercise your purchase option in this scenario, then immediately turn around and use that $6,000 as a true down payment on your next vehicle. This brings us to the most critical psychological battleground, the F&I office's menu of doom. Even if you have selected the right car and the right extraction strategy, The finance manager has one last set of tools to trap you. These are the ancillary products that look like safety nets but often function as profit padders for the house. We are going to deconstruct the VSC, or Vehicle Service Contract, and the tire and wheel protection to show you the actual cost-to-benefit ratio. But there is something even more secretive happening in the 2026 automotive world. It is called the lender's secret ledger. There is a specific set of data points that determines which zero-down buyers get the real rates and which ones get the convenience rates. It has nothing to do with your credit score and everything to do with your internal banking score. If you don't know your score with a specific captive lender of the brand you are buying, you are walking into the room blind. In the next part, we will show you how to find that score and how to use it to force the dealer to drop the interest rate on your zero-down deal. We are also going to reveal the wholesale versus retail gap that dealerships use to hide your equity during the trade-in negotiation. If you can spot this gap, you can save $5,000 in 10 minutes. To understand the wholesale versus retail gap, you must first understand that a dealership in 2026 operates as two distinct businesses under one roof: a retail outlet and a liquidation engine. When you bring your trade-in for a zero-down deal, the dealer is evaluating your car based on the wholesale auction price, the price they would get if they sold it to another dealer tomorrow. However, they are selling you their car at the retail price, the highest possible market value. This gap is usually between $4,000 and $7,000. In a zero-down deal, the dealership often uses this gap to swallow your trade-in equity without you ever realizing it. Imagine a graphic designer in Austin named Gabriel. Gabriel has a 2021 electric sedan that is paid off. In the retail market, where a private individual would buy it, the car is worth $28,000. However, the wholesale auction price is only $22,000. Gabriel wants to buy a new SUV for $50,000 with zero down. The dealer tells Gabriel they will give him $22,000 for his sedan and apply it to the new deal. Gabriel thinks this is fair because it matches some online trade-in estimates he saw. But by accepting the wholesale price, Gabriel has just handed the dealer $6,000 in potential profit. If Gabriel had sold that car privately for $28,000 and then walked into the dealership with $28,000 in cash, his loan-to-value ratio would have plummeted, and his interest rate would have been significantly lower. By bundling the trade-in into a zero-down deal, Gabriel effectively paid a $6,000 convenience fee to avoid the hassle of a private sale. Historical trends in the 2026 market show that dealers are becoming even more aggressive with this gap because zero-down buyers are often payment-focused. As long as the monthly payment stays under a certain number, the buyer rarely questions why their trade-in value seems low. This is the equity eraser. To combat this, you must use the 2026 reverse negotiation tactic. Before you ever mention a zero-down deal, you should get a written offer for your car from a dedicated used car wholesaler. These companies operate on high volume and thin margins, often offering closer to the true wholesale price than a traditional franchise dealer. With that offer in your pocket, you have a floor. If the dealer offers you less, you know they are trying to pad their margins on your zero-down loan. Now let's talk about the lender's secret ledger and the internal banking score. While your FICO score is a general measure of your creditworthiness, captive lenders like Toyota Financial, Ford Credit, or GM Financial maintain their own internal data on you. If you have financed 3 cars with the same brand over the last decade and never missed a payment, your internal banking score is likely much higher than your FICO score would suggest. In 2026, these lenders use loyalty algorithms to offer zero-down deals to repeat customers that would be rejected for first-time buyers. Case studies show that a buyer with a 680 FICO score, but a high internal loyalty score can often get a lower interest rate on a zero-down deal than a buyer with a 750 FICO score, who has never used that specific lender before. The dealer knows this, but they won't tell you. They will try to hold points on the back end, charging you the higher rate that your FICO score suggests, while the bank is actually approving you at the loyalty rate. To expose this, you must ask the finance manager, am I being tiered based strictly on my credit bureau report, or is there a manufacturer loyalty subvention being applied to this zero-down offer? Using those specific words signals that you understand how the ledger works, often forcing them to reveal the lower rate. Let's look at the scenario of a healthcare administrator in Miami named Sophia. Sophia has a 710 credit score, which is good but not elite. She wants a zero-down deal on a luxury crossover. The dealer quotes her a 7% APR. Sophia knows she has financed her last 2 vehicles through this manufacturer's captive lender. She pushes back, asking about the loyalty subvention. The finance manager checks with the bank, and suddenly the rate drops to 5%. On a $60,000 loan over 72 months, that 2% difference saves Sophia nearly $4,000 in interest. That is $4,000 that would have stayed in the dealership's pocket as reserve profit if she hadn't asked the right question. We also need to deconstruct the VSC or vehicle service contract, which is almost always pushed in a zero-down deal. The pitch is simple. Since you are putting zero down, you don't want a surprise $3,000 repair bill next month, right? Let's just add this warranty for $20 a month. In 2026, the retail price for a high-quality VSC is often $3,000, but the dealer's cost is usually only $1,200. When you roll that $3,000 into your zero-down loan at an 8% interest rate, you aren't paying $3,000. You are paying over $4,000 for a product the dealer bought for $1,200. Historical trends show that these contracts are the highest profit items in the entire building. If you feel you need the protection, the move is never to roll it into the zero-down loan. Instead, research third-party providers or negotiate the VSC price down to cost plus 10%. If the dealer refuses, you can often buy the exact same manufacturer-backed service contract from a different dealer in a different state for much less. In the digital age of 2026, there is no reason to pay a local markup on a national service product. This brings us to the most dangerous part of the zero-down contract, the arbitration clause. Most American car buyers in 2026 are unknowingly signing away their right to sue the dealership or the lender in a court of law. If the dealer engages in predatory lending or spot delivery scams, where they call you a week later saying your zero-down financing fell through and you need to pay more, you are forced into private arbitration. The historical data on arbitration shows that it overwhelmingly favors the corporation over the consumer. In a zero-down deal, where the margins for error are razor-thin, being trapped in arbitration can be the difference between getting your money back and being forced into bankruptcy. Consider a case study from late 2025 in California. A buyer was told he had a zero-down deal, only to have the dealer claim the bank rejected the terms 10 days after he drove the car home. The dealer demanded a $5,000 down payment or the return of the car, but they had already sold his trade-in. Because of the arbitration clause, the buyer couldn't sue for the value of his stolen trade-in. He was forced into a settlement that left him without a car and without his equity. This is the spot delivery trap, and it is most common in zero-down negotiations. How do you protect yourself from this? You never leave the lot on a conditional or subject to approval contract. You demand a fully executed contract. If they say the banks are closed because it is a Saturday, you leave the car on the lot and come back on Monday. In 2026, sign and drive should only happen when the drive is backed by a final, non-retractable approval. But what if you already have the car, you have the zero-down loan, and you realize your insurance premium is 3 times higher than you expected? This is the insurance shock of the zero-down world. Lenders for zero-down deals often require maximum liability and low-deductible coverage to protect their 100% stake in the car. We are going to break down the 2026 insurance requirements for zero-down loans and show you how to find the lender-approved loopholes that can save you $200 a month on your premiums. And finally, we are going to look at the refinance clock. There is a specific window of time, measured in days, not months, where you can refinance a zero-down deal before the depreciation makes it impossible. If you miss this window, you are locked in for the duration. We will reveal the Day 45 rule that every zero-down buyer needs to know to escape the high-interest trap. In the next part, we dive into the specific math of the 2026 insurance surge and how it can turn a zero-down dream into a cash flow nightmare. The math of the 2026 insurance surge is the hidden variable that often collapses a zero-down payment deal before the first oil change. In the United States today, insurance premiums have decoupled from the simple value of the vehicle and are now tied to a complex web of repair costs, litigation trends, and, most importantly, the lender's risk profile. When you enter a zero-down agreement, you are not just a driver. You are a high-stakes liability in the eyes of the bank. Because the lender has 100% or more of the equity at stake, they do not allow you to choose a standard insurance policy. They mandate a maximum coverage protocol that can effectively double your monthly overhead. Imagine a middle school teacher in Philadelphia named Anthony. Anthony finds a 2026 compact electric vehicle with a zero-down promotion that fits perfectly into his $700 monthly car budget. He signs the paperwork feeling confident. However, Anthony didn't realize that because he has zero equity in the car, his lender requires a $500 deductible for both collision and comprehensive coverage, along with $100,000 in bodily injury liability per person and $300,000 per accident. When Anthony calls his insurance agent, he discovers that his premium has jumped from $120 a month on his old car to $380 a month on the new one. Suddenly, Anthony's $700 car payment is actually a $1,080 monthly cash outflow. This is the insurance shock, and in 2026, it is causing a record number of voluntary surrenders within the first 90 days of ownership. Historical trends in 2026 indicate that insurance companies are now utilizing telematics and credit-based insurance scores more aggressively than ever before. If you have a zero-down loan, insurance algorithms often flag you as a higher-risk driver. The logic used by these companies is that a consumer with low liquid reserves, evidenced by the lack of a down payment, is statistically more likely to file a claim for minor damages rather than paying out of pocket. This leads to a risk premium being added to your policy from day one. Case studies from major metropolitan areas like Miami and Los Angeles show that zero-down buyers are paying an average of 22% more for the exact same coverage than buyers who put down at least 20%. Furthermore, we must address the 2026 gap insurance mandate. In a zero-down scenario, gap insurance is not a luxury. It is a structural necessity for the loan's approval. If Anthony's electric vehicle is totaled in a flooded street 3 months into his loan, the insurance company will only pay the actual cash value of $42,000. But because Anthony rolled his taxes, fees, and a high interest rate into his zero-down loan, his payoff balance is actually $49,000. Without gap insurance, Anthony is legally obligated to pay the bank $7,000 for a pile of scrap metal. While gap insurance protects you from this catastrophe, it adds yet another $30 to $50 to your monthly payment when rolled into the financing. This is the spiral of a zero-down deal. Every protection you add to mitigate the high risk of the loan makes the loan even more expensive and difficult to maintain. To navigate this, you need to understand the Day 45 rule. This is the critical window where you have the maximum leverage to fix a bad zero-down deal. Historical trends show that the first 45 days of a car loan are a grace period where many credit unions are willing to take over a loan from a dealership's captive lender, if the buyer can show a consistent income stream. If you find yourself drowning in the insurance and interest costs of a zero-down deal, your goal is to refinance before the second payment is due. At 45 days, the car is still considered new by most lenders, allowing you to secure a lower new car interest rate rather than a higher used car rate. Let's look at a case study of a software salesperson in Denver named Isabella. Isabella took a zero-down deal at 9% interest. Within the first 30 days, she realized the interest and insurance were eating her alive. She went to her local credit union on day 35. Because she hadn't let the car depreciate through months of heavy use yet, the credit union was able to value the car close to her original purchase price. They offered her a refinance at 5.5% interest. By switching lenders within that 45-day window, Isabella saved herself $140 a month and thousands over the life of the loan. If she had waited until day 90, the car's market value would have dropped, creating an equity hole that the credit union would have required her to fill with cash before they would approve the refinance. Another factor in the 2026 insurance math is the specific tech stack of the vehicle. In 2026, even a minor fender bender on a new vehicle involves calibrated sensors, cameras, and often expensive battery shell inspections. Insurance companies are pricing these repairs into their zero-down mandates. If you are buying a vehicle known for high repair costs, such as certain luxury brands or specialized electric models, with zero down, you are essentially prepaying for those repairs through your insurance premiums. You must request an insurance quote for the specific VIN before you sign the zero-down contract. If the insurance quote is more than 25% of the car payment, the historical data suggests the deal is unsustainable for the average American household. The 2026 market has also introduced the pay-per-mile trap for zero-down buyers. Many insurance companies offer a lower base rate if you agree to a mileage cap. For a zero-down buyer looking for any way to lower their monthly costs, this looks attractive. However, if you go over that mileage cap, the car's depreciation accelerates even faster than the bank's amortization schedule. Imagine Isabella chooses a pay-per-mile plan, but then has to take a longer commute for a new job. She is now paying more for insurance, and she is driving the car's trade-in value into the ground. When she finally tries to get out of the loan, she discovers she is $15,000 underwater instead of $5,000. We also need to discuss the 2026 Tier 2 credit squeeze. In previous years, people with decent credit could get zero-down deals with relatively few strings attached. In 2026, the Tier 2 buyer, those with scores between 660 and 720, is being targeted with zero-down offers that include hidden high-deductible mandates. The lender might offer you a zero-down deal, but only if you agree to carry a $250 deductible. This sounds like good coverage, but the premium for such a low deductible is astronomical. It is a way for the lender to ensure that the car is always repaired to a like-new condition, preserving the bank's collateral at your expense. So how do you fight back against the insurance and interest squeeze? You have to use the multi-lender strategy. Before walking into the dealership, you should have a pre-approval from an outside lender that specifically includes a zero-down option but at a fixed, non-marked-up rate. When the dealer tries to sell you on their zero-down plan with the high insurance requirements, you present your pre-approval. Often, the dealer will miraculously find a way to match the lower rate and more flexible insurance terms just to keep the loan in-house and earn their small referral fee. But there is an even more advanced move that only the top 1% of car buyers use in 2026. It is called the principal first front-loading tactic. If you are determined to take a zero-down deal to keep your cash liquid, you can still beat the interest trap by making a single large principal payment in month 2. This bypasses the amortization schedule and puts you in an equity position immediately, without having to pay the thousands of dollars in taxes and fees at the time of signing. We will show you the exact math of how a single $2,000 payment in month 2 can save you $5,000 in interest over the life of the loan. But first, we have to talk about the most controversial part of the zero-down world: the 2026 luxury lease flip. There are people in the USA who are currently driving $80,000 cars for zero down and actually making money when they trade them in. It sounds impossible, but it is a legal loophole involving manufacturer rebates and specific state tax laws. If you live in one of the 12 states that allow this, you could be leaving $10,000 on the table. We are going to reveal those states and the specific luxury brands that are currently being flipped by savvy buyers in the next part. The 12 states that offer the most significant tax advantages for zero-down leases in 2026 are those that only charge sales tax on the monthly lease payment itself, rather than the total value of the vehicle. These states include California, Florida, Arizona, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina, among others. In these jurisdictions, if you take a zero-down lease, you are only paying tax on the portion of the car you are actually using. Contrast this with states like Texas, Virginia, Maryland, and Illinois, where you are often required to pay sales tax on the entire selling price of the vehicle up front, even if you are only leasing it for 3 years. In a zero-down scenario in Texas, that 5% tax on a $60,000 luxury SUV adds $3,000 to your loan balance on day 1. But in California, you simply pay the tax as a small percentage of your monthly check. This creates a massive liquidity advantage that savvy buyers are using to flip high-demand luxury vehicles for a profit. The core of the 2026 luxury lease flip involves 3 specific brands: Lexus, BMW, and Genesis. These manufacturers have specialized captive lending arms: Lexus Financial Services, BMW Financial Services, and Genesis Finance, that are currently subsidizing lease residuals to maintain market share against rising competition. According to the 2026 Residual Value Awards, the Lexus RX, BMW X3, and Genesis GV70 are retaining an unprecedented amount of their value. When you combine these high residuals with manufacturer rebates, such as the 2026 Electron Volts tax credit pass-through, you create a situation where your monthly payment is artificially low, while the car's market value stays high. Consider the case study of a consultant in Portland named Leo. Oregon has no state sales tax, which makes it the ultimate laboratory for the zero-down lease flip. In early 2025, Leo leased a high-trim 2025 hybrid luxury SUV with $0 out of pocket. The vehicle had an MSRP of $65,000. However, the manufacturer was offering a $7,500 lease bonus to move inventory. This rebate acted as a virtual down payment, lowering Leo's capitalized cost to $57,500. Because the residual value was set at an aggressive 64%, Leo's monthly payment was significantly lower than the actual depreciation of the vehicle. By mid-2026, Leo's SUV is 18 months into a 36-month lease. He has paid roughly $12,000 in total payments. However, because of a supply shortage in the hybrid luxury segment, the trade-in value of his SUV is currently $58,000. Leo's current lease payoff, the amount required to buy out the contract, is only $51,000. Despite putting $0 of his own money down, Leo is sitting on $7,000 of pure equity. He can flip this lease by trading the car into a competing dealership, which cuts a check to the leasing company for $51,000 and gives Leo a $7,000 credit toward his next vehicle. This is how the wealthy in the USA use zero-down deals not to survive, but to build a rolling equity fund. However, this strategy requires a precision understanding of the 2026 manufacturer rebate landscape. Many buyers see a $7,000 rebate and think they are getting a discount. In reality, that rebate is often a non-cash incentive that only exists if you use the manufacturer's high-interest captive financing. Historical trends show that if you took the rebate but were charged an extra 3% in interest, you would lose the entire value of the rebate within the first 30 months. To win the lease flip game, you must ensure that the rebate is applied to the capitalized cost while maintaining the buy rate money factor. Let's look at the specific 2026 data for the Audi S8 and the BMW X3. In the first quarter of 2026, Audi offered a staggering $10,000 bonus cash incentive on the S8 for loyal customers. For a zero-down buyer, this incentive effectively covers the first year of depreciation. If the car is kept in pristine condition and the mileage stays low, the buyer can often exit the lease early without any negative equity. Meanwhile, the BMW X3 continues to dominate the conquest incentive category. If you currently own a Mercedes or an Audi, BMW will often give you an additional $2,000 to switch. In a zero-down deal, these stacked incentives serve as your equity cushion, protecting you from the flipped status we discussed earlier in this masterclass. But there is a catch that most YouTube finance gurus ignore: the direct purchase restriction. In 2026, many captive lenders have restricted the ability for third-party dealers to buy out leases. If Leo wanted to sell his Lexus lease to a Ford dealer, Lexus Financial might charge the Ford dealer a higher, market-based payoff than they would charge Leo. This is a move by manufacturers to keep the used car inventory on their own lots. To bypass this, savvy 2026 buyers are performing what is known as a double title pass. They take a short-term bridge loan from a credit union to buy the car themselves, wait for the title to arrive in their name, and then sell it to the highest bidder. This process takes about 21 days, but can unlock $5,000 to $10,000 in equity that would otherwise be trapped by the leasing company's restrictive policies. We must also analyze the 2026 doc fee landscape. While you are focusing on the zero down payment, dealerships are quietly increasing their documentation fees to record highs. In states like Florida and Virginia, these fees can exceed $1,000. In a zero-down deal, that $1,000 is financed at your interest rate. Over a 72-month loan, that doc fee actually costs you $1,400. Historical trends in the 2026 market show that the most successful negotiators focus on the out-the-door price, not the selling price. If a dealer gives you a great zero-down deal but hides a $1,500 fee in the fine print, they have successfully negated the value of your negotiation. Step by step, here is how you calculate if your current zero-down deal is flippable. First, call your lender for the current dealer buyout and consumer buyout numbers. Second, get a real-time quote from a wholesale buyer. Third, subtract the buyout from the quote. If the number is positive, you are in the top 5% of American car buyers who have beat the depreciation curve. If the number is negative, you are in the equity hole, and you need the extraction strategy we discussed in Part 6. The 2026 car market is a game of musical chairs. As long as prices stay high and demand for hybrids and EVs remains strong, the zero-down lease flip works. But the moment the used car market corrects, which historical trends suggest happens every 7 to 10 years, the people holding zero-down contracts on high depreciation vehicles will be the ones left without a seat. This is why you must treat a zero-down deal like a high-voltage wire. It is extremely useful, but if you don't handle it with the right tools, it will burn your financial future to the ground. As we approach the finale of this deep dive masterclass, we are going to put everything together. We have covered the GPS kill switches, the insurance shocks, the trade-in shell games, and the luxury lease flips. Now we are going to give you the zero-down survival checklist. This is the 10-point document you take with you to the dealership to ensure you never sign a predatory contract. We are also going to reveal the ultimate walk-away power, The one thing you can say to a finance manager that will instantly drop your interest rate by 3%. If you are planning to buy a car in 2026, you cannot afford to miss the final part of this series. The difference between a zero-down success and a zero-down disaster comes down to the last 3 minutes of the negotiation. The final 3 minutes of a car negotiation are where most zero-down payment deals are either saved or sabotaged. By this point, you have survived the trade-in shell game, understood the insurance math, and identified if you are in a luxury lease flip scenario. But as the finance manager prepares the final set of digital documents for your signature, they are waiting for you to make the one mistake that accounts for over 30% of a dealership's front-end profit: the acceptance of the first pencil. In the 2026 automotive market, the first set of numbers a dealer shows you is almost never their best offer. It is a test of your financial literacy. To pass this test, you need the zero-down survival checklist. Step 1 of the checklist is the verification of the buy rate. As we have discussed, banks provide dealers with the wholesale interest rate, which the dealer then marks up. In the last 3 minutes, you must look the finance manager in the eye and say the ultimate walk-away phrase: "I am comfortable with the vehicle and the out-of-the-door price, but I am not prepared to sign until I see the raw approval from the lender showing the buy rate without the participation markup." Historical trends show that when a buyer uses the specific term participation markup, the dealer realizes they are dealing with an informed consumer. In a case study from a high-volume dealership in Florida, this single sentence resulted in a rate drop from 8.9% to 6.4% on a zero-down loan, saving the buyer over $5,000 in interest over a 72-month term. Step 2 is the doc fee audit. In 2026, average documentation fees in states like Florida have climbed toward the $950 mark. While the dealer will tell you that the doc fee is non-negotiable, because they have to charge every customer the same amount by law, this is a half-truth. While they may have to charge the fee, they can reduce the sales price of the car by an equivalent amount to offset it. If you are doing a zero-down deal, you are paying interest on that $950. Demand that the sales price be adjusted downward to neutralize the impact of the administrative fees. If they refuse, you are essentially paying a $1,000 premium for their paperwork. Step 3 is the physical inspection of the contract for spot delivery clauses. In 2026, a common predatory tactic is the use of the rescission or seller's right to cancel clause. This allows the dealer to let you take the car home on a zero-down deal today, only to call you 48 hours later to tell you that your financing was rejected, and you now need to provide a $3,000 down payment. To avoid this, you must insist on a fully executed contract where the finance company's name and the specific terms are finalized. If the contract says subject to final bank approval, do not drive that car off the lot. Historical trends show that consumers who fall for the spot delivery scam often end up in a higher interest loan than they originally agreed to, or they lose their trade-in equity entirely. Step 4 is the ancillary product refusal. The finance manager will save the highest pressure sales tactics for the very end, pushing the vehicle service contracts, environmental protection packages, and key replacement insurance. In a zero-down deal, these are the most dangerous items because they are 100% financed. If you add $5,000 in back-end products to a zero-down loan at a 7% interest rate, you are effectively paying nearly $7,000 for those products over time. Unless you are purchasing a vehicle with a known history of mechanical failure outside of the manufacturer's warranty, the historical data suggests that these products are a net loss for the consumer. Step 5 is the first payment strategy. Even if you are doing a zero-down deal, the time of the month you sign matters. If you sign at the end of the month, the dealership is often more desperate to hit their volume targets, and may be more willing to waive certain dealer-added fees, or provide a deeper discount on the MSRP to make the zero-down math work for the bank. Case studies from 2025 and 2026 show that buyers who finalize their deals on the last 2 business days of a quarter can often secure a 1 to 2% lower APR than those who buy in the middle of the month. Now imagine a character named Marcus who we met earlier in this series. Marcus followed the checklist. He walked into the dealership in late March 2026. He had his own pre-approval from a credit union for 6.5%. The dealer showed him a first pencil of 9% with zero down. Marcus didn't get angry. He simply used the buy rate phrase. The dealer, realizing Marcus wouldn't budge, matched the credit union rate and threw in a $1,000 manufacturer loyalty rebate that they had initially hidden. Marcus drove off with a zero-down deal that actually made sense for his cash flow, because he wasn't paying the $3,000 liquidity tax. But what happens next? The zero-down journey doesn't end when you drive off the lot. In fact, the most important phase begins exactly 30 days later. This is when the refinance window opens. Even if you got a great deal, the 2026 market is volatile. If the Federal Reserve cuts rates by another quarter point in the spring, your 9% loan could be refinanced at 7%. You must set a calendar alert for every 6 months to check the current refinancing rates for your specific LTV ratio. The truth about zero-down car deals in the USA is that they are not inherently evil. They are just mathematically complex. For the uninformed, they are a trap designed to capture future earnings and lock you into a cycle of debt. For the informed, they are a tool to preserve liquid capital while leveraging the bank's assets. You now have the full masterclass of information, from the kill switches of the subprime market to the luxury lease flips of the elite. You know how to spot the trade-in shell game and how to bypass the insurance shock. As we close this deep dive, remember that the most powerful tool you have isn't your credit score or your income. It is your willingness to say no. A zero-down deal only works if the numbers favor you as much as they favor the house. If they don't, there is always another car, another dealer, and another day. You are the one with the money, even if you are choosing to keep it in your pocket today. This has been the truth about zero-down car deals. But there is one final piece of the puzzle we haven't touched on yet: the 2027 electron volts mandate, and how it is about to make every internal combustion engine car on the road today significantly harder to trade in. If you are signing a 72-month loan today, you will still be paying for your current car when the 2027 regulations hit. We are going to dive into the upcoming automotive depreciation crisis and the 3 specific car brands you should avoid buying right now if you want to have any trade-in value left by the end of the decade.